Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all my friends on the Earth ship. Welcome to my Sunday Fun Day, a little time I reserve each week for the discussion or a rant about being the alchemist of your life. Welcome. I'm Cindy Carter. I'm an intuitive, an artist, an energy healer, and a spirit consultant. This series of Alchemy podcasts is a building of understanding. Each podcast, is a snippet of everyday life issues that allow you to see the whole picture of yourself within it, seeing yourself within the whole. Sometimes that's a hard view to see the wholeness, so I offer that for you. Last podcast, we talked about loyalty versus liability. That was a few weeks ago because there is a void in my podcasts because I was traveling out west for about 12 days. I was at a psychic Sasquatch conference. There are a lot of near and dear people at that place to me. They feel like family to me. There was also a lot of other goings on there. So whatever happened there, good and bad, it proved to be a really great validation for me about all of my podcasts. But this podcast in particular is probably heavily influenced by the goings on there. And I will just say that the goings on there were probably typical of any spiritual conference that you go to. Anyone where there are many missions and many ideas in one place. So this is an idea of how you can look at that a little bit differently. But really, just having my validation that what I'm seeing as a whole issue is kind of rampant in a lot of places. If these liabilities or issues are kind of cleaned up one by one with compassion, we all benefit. But what's to be cleaned up and what isn't? That's, really hard job to figure out. Who does the cleaning up? And is it your job? Probably not. We usually leave compassion to the understanding. And when compassion comes into an understanding, then you allow others to make their own choices. This is what hasn't been happening. So I'll talk about the last podcast first. The last podcast was about loyalty versus liability. And I did get several people feedback amount of feedback on that one, and it was quite interesting, especially people who are dealing with family loyalties and looking at the loyalties that humans attach themselves to. It's pretty amazing the loyal stances that people take, the line in the sand, the division and the exclusion, and the loyalty. It seems to have been taken from a benevolent thing, that used to be loyal to the family, loyal to this. It now seems to be like a liability in a lot of people because we don't know what we're being loyal to now. Loyalty to something that feeds your heart and your soul and maybe feeds the heart and soul of others is a great thing. It leaves you energetically clear and sovereign. Well, that's one thing. That's something that feeds your heart. But if you become blindly loyal to other ideas, other doctrines, other modalities, even teachings from our ancestors, too much loyalty binds you to false earthly constructs that don't allow the personal freedom of the understanding of your soul and all that's made up of your soul. So looking at your loyalties and asking yourself, what within it feels true to you, true to your heart, then that's what the consciousness is that's in front of you. That's the consciousness to work with. Your loyalties. And finding the loyalties that are out of alignment with you and working with those. We're not going to just look past the things that don't look so pretty. A lot of people want to do that right now. A lot of people have never seen too much beauty, so they get caught up in the beauty and they don't want to ever go back to the past because of their own past traumas. Well, we got to look beyond the modalities that bring in these kind of traumatic views. We can't look at life in a certain way because of our past, because our past has looked at it that way. Ooh. We got to look at the intentions of our heart, of our sovereignty. And we might find that it strays pretty far away from the idea of peace, say, or love, say. What happened to this modality? That didn't seem very peaceful. You might find that it was originally designed to mask its identity or its purpose. Some ancient teachings were often masking the purpose of manipulating masses of people. Not just talking about ancient teachings, ancient religions, ancient ceremony, ancient anything. So you might want to do a test, a self-test on your loyalties. What are you loyalty to? What are you loyalty to? What are you loyal to? When learning more about your true power and your true identity as a human on this earth ship, you got to look at some of these tendencies or these affiliations or these mindsets or these data sets that work through you. How did you get them? Were they learned? Were you taught? Were you manipulated? Was it past trauma that brought through from another life? Is it someone else's consciousness living in your body? Do you have an entity telling you this stuff? So today's podcast is called Discerning Eyes, Seeing Through the Bullshit. Yes, I just said that. Yes, I made it the title. And yes, I did make a graphic for YouTube with that title. It was kind of fun. Because this is the truth. This is my truth. This is the truth of a lot of people right now, seeing through the bullshit. So I have in the past talked about discernment. I have a podcast maybe 10 months ago called Awakening the Gift of Discernment and how important that is, where I talked about the kinds of discernment and how you can overcome your ideas of what you're not discerning, how to become into your view. So you might want to look at that one, Awakening the Gift of Discernment, 10 months ago. It's relevant today. A lot of the stuff I wrote in 2012 is absolutely relevant today. But I have talked about discernment, personal influence as discernment, and outside influence as discernment. What is your personal influence and your outside influence? We all have them. You may not realize that the hologram matrix, whatever you're living in, was riddled and made for that. You were controlled by the masses. You are controlled, into masses, not into sovereignty. Sovereign ideas really were not meant for this corporation known as the USA or a lot of the, nations of this world. Sovereign ideas are starting to come out. It's a beautiful thing to see. But we do have to look at ourselves in this whole observation. This is about personal truth, personal observation, self-awareness. So while determining your personal truth and your soul expression, we need huge discernment right now. So there's personal discernment. What part of you is discerning? Through your feeling nature or through your blind thought? Through your discerning knowing? From your resurrected kindness? Or through your trauma of past lives? Are you opening your eyes and your ears and your heart to the voice of discernment? This is about all of your ways of seeing, bringing out all of your eyes, the eyes of discerning. If you are limiting your observation of life, well, that's not discerning. By only seeing through the constructs other humans have made for you, that's not being discerning. This is about alchemy and the understanding of energy. In the moment, as you witness it, as you feel it, as you understand it, or not understand it. But becoming aware, becoming clear. You see, awareness is the catalyst or the driver for discernment. Unawareness is like big, heavy blinders on. Open awareness of your field to allowing more open activity of new thought and new ideas allows discernment to take hold of the crazy situations going on in your brain when you're trying to decide, what the hell am I seeing? What am I truly witnessing? Because it looks really sweet. Why is there an undercurrent of something else there? Be discerning. First of all, you got to create some discerning eyes. You got to have some desire to want to discern. You can't just say, "Oh, I hope I'm discerning." I hope I'm doing that. No. You better have a desire for that. You better desire discernment in every action. You better decide that you have discernment in every place you go, with every phone call, with every person you meet. This isn't looking at darkness. This is looking at wholeness. To see through discerning eyes and having a desire to see through that discerning eyes. This means you got to put down your sword of like not being open to new ideas. The sword that you put in front of you, like, no way, no new ideas. Especially if you've come to a belief for yourself that was basically handed to you on a platter by another human. That's not discerning. But desiring to have an autonomous truth, desiring to see what kind of compassionate, discerning eyes you can attain without being bumped up in trauma, in anger, and abuse. We don't have to go there. Discerning eyes can see the whole without the trigger. That's the point of being here on earth. We're trying to discern what is a truth, what is not, and it's not a truth of another person. Go back to my past podcasts where I speak of the truth of yourself, discerning the truth of you and discerning the truth of others. Discernment requires you to fully engage all of your senses. If you're not into self-care or wellness, self-wellness, or allowing new thoughts and ideas to your mind and your body, then you may find this whole process a waste of time, and you might as well click off into something else. Because, you got to engage all of your senses here. You have to know that you have all of your senses, and that you can trust that. Discernment doesn't require another human to tell it to you. Do you get that truly? Grasp the idea that no human on this earth is here to discern for you or to tell you how a truth really is? Only you, as a sovereign alchemist of the innate sacred energy of Christ consciousness that arrived in a body on this earth, this spiritual being, this one can discern. Without muddy concepts in your brain and past constructs of manipulated truths, you can discern for yourself. It will take trusting yourself. Sometimes that's pretty huge for people to trust themselves. I know it was for me for a while. I learned the hard way. But trusting the universe, that the universe would help me. But without discernment, I ended up executing my belief systems wrapped around fear. No trust equals fear. So I talk about this all the time. It's a core understanding that you've got to trust yourself and trust the universal plan. That when you align your truth with that, here you are in a beautiful place. Because here's the understanding. Get a pen out. Write this part down. Or rewind. It's called the basis of life in the hologram. And if you get this concept, you'll get all of it, discernment and everything else. It's called consciousness plus energy equals reality. I'll say it again. So the consciousness of, say, I don't trust myself or the universe, it leaves you completely open to the other human influences of other people influencing your truth. because you don't trust the universe, so you're going to listen to a human tell you how it is for you. Now, they can tell you about their experience. Do not get me wrong. That's what I do. I'm telling you about my experiences, telling you how I see it, and it seems to make sense for people. It's not full of caca. It's not full of, devised, masking of truth. I'm just telling you and laying it out in as plain English as I can. How I see life. I'm not telling you how to see life. But if you open your mind, you might be able to see clearly. That's all we're asking for. So this human influence, other human influence, let's call it OHI. OHI, like, oh my God, no. Match it with your energy. Put other people's influences in as your consciousness. You match it with your own energy of doubt, perhaps in a kind of blind loyalty, the energy of doubt. And then there's this reality that's created all around you, based in somebody else's influence, somebody else's truth, based in complete doubt. And you wonder why you can't trust your life or trust your actions. It's because you didn't trust yourself. That's the catalyst for the consciousness. It's an innate, sovereign God source within you. And when you align your consciousness with that, your energy of understanding and clarity with that, you can change your reality. The reality of the hologram around you changes. The people around you end up changing because the energy becomes different. Not that you're going to step into another timeline of only beauty. No. You will see clearly the dark and light. You won't let any of it affect you, yet you have it clear. It's not through your trauma. You didn't have to create a second timeline to jump to. But accepting the truth of another as your own, when you match that current understanding with your awareness, you come out with a crappy reality, or a delusional reality, or a false doctrine, or a false idea. Not that you have taken it on as your own, then it becomes about you, making constant realities and stances of moral attitudes and understandings based in someone else's reality. Holy cow. What I just said was, what you put in is what you put out. So if you are allowing no discernment in your view and in your actions, in your energy, then you're doing the bidding of another. There may be underlying motives that create really unfortunate realities for those that get caught up in this lack of awareness. You may find yourself doing what you feel is beauty, but there's underlying intention of harm to others. Look at your actions. Discerning eyes, seeing through the bullshit, sure helps us become sovereign. But I do realize, experience is often our best teacher. There was a lot of years of my life I wasn't seeing through discerning eyes. At one point, it was so bad, I decided to, leave my body and come back. My unawareness, my naive nature, my utter kindness got me in deep. Empathy got me in deep like a toddler navigating a battlefield. I got the gift of discernment by living the truths of others, by accepting other doctrines as my truth, and believing the New Age bullshit. I believed it. The other crazy truths that people were spouting off. And when I believed it, I went with it. And my reality changed with it. And what happened? The underlying intention that was there got exposed. Yes, and it did wreak havoc on my life. But then discernment took hold. Why? Because I chose compassion over anything else. Compassion for me, above the bullshit. Can you see it clearly? Step away from it so you can see it clearly. I allowed a higher understanding. A higher understanding of the energy that I have experienced. that came in all kinds of forms of dark and light energy. So I can say from intense experience, you are all of these things in your past. So you got to rectify and resurrect your perception of these portions of yourself, discerning through all that falsity who you are as a sovereign human. You aren't the anger, the grief alone. You are the bliss and the joy and the anger and the grief. Can you see yourself clearly? Can you make a new choice? This is how you come to your heart and mind that has to merge. Without the influence of other people, their doctrines, or their past lives affecting you. Now, don't get me wrong here. It's not like I'm saying only focus on yourself. I teach compassion, so it's about compassion for you and for others. There are so many places of beauty within the thoughts and actions and understandings, with music and ceremonies and spiritual doctrines, religious rites, and so on. We can all find beauty in these places, and there are pieces and parts of these ingredients that ring so true and feel so right to our soul. When we see them through discerning eyes and experiencing them through a discerning soul, it's the energy of the consciousness that I'll accept, not the doctrine around it, not the story around it. I don't even care about any history anymore. I'll take what serves me. Say it's the understanding of reverence, revering the place of ourself on the earth, in the galactics, and in the cosmos, revering the energy brought forth to this earth within me, to change lead into gold within me. It all comes from me, this energy, if I allow it. This is the core understanding of alchemy. You hold all the ingredients, so why wait for a past doctrine or a modality to show you the way? Or to put in the many years of, quote, air quote, service, because you have now attained through your great many years. No, you need experience. Clarity can come in one day. It doesn't have to be 20 years of ceremony. There's so many outdated spiritual practices right now, it amazes me. I mean, and I'm not talking about the spiritual practices. You please dance, sing, and chant. I do these things. I especially love chanting. I love drums. Maybe my Tibetan lives, past lives. I'm drawn to Native American music and ancestry in certain ways. The consciousness of that and the understanding of that. Not the old, outdated ways of the ancestors that had kind of limited information, that usually based most of their intentions in fear. So most of their information came from human filtering, based in the past events that they understood. That had nothing to do with my truth. But I love the history and the ancestry and my remembrance of myself as a Native American, or my remembrance of myself as a Tibetan, or a Sasquatch, for whatever. Based in the past events of me, I understand that I'm not the doctrine. I understand that I'm not the ceremony. It doesn't mean I can't go to a powwow or go to a drum circle. You can. You can enjoy a chant. You can enjoy a meditation. But when you start only seeing through that eye, that singular vision, this is when you go astray. You've lost the wholeness of yourself. You see, as an alchemist, you get to decide the energies you want and do not want. That's what clarity is for. This requires clear eyes, not the drops you put in your eyes, but to see what's happening within you and outside of you clearly. You see, others present themselves in ways that make them come across as authentic, but they are completely inauthentic if you look through it. There are many, many versions of you currently in a body. I mean, how many of those were Native American? Quite a few, probably. maybe Tibetan, maybe Greek. We're just talking about races. What about, you were Pleiadian, Lyran, maybe several ET lives. So if you're all of the expressions of life, you are the all of your past, present, and future. So that makes you a conglomeration, a mixed bag of light, So if you're rocking only one portion of that, you're being influenced by just one or several portions of your true self. And I know that phrase is going to piss off a few people that, they don't know my intention. But perhaps I'm here to show you that you are more than the one thing you portray. More than the Native American drum, more than the Buddhist chant, more than the galactic presence. You are the sum of those. So what does that make you? A huge, powerful alchemist, that's what. One that has discerning eyes based in kindness and compassion for your own life and others. So you see the sum of yourself is like present here on earth, not the one ray that you're rocking. I mean, there's an appropriate medicine bag to wear for what? Is there a perfect bone necklace to go with the sum of you? Or are you rocking an outdated, angry, pissed off version of a Native American warrior that really wants to say some egoic wisdom thing to feel superior? But I see the whole persona. I see the kindness in you. I see the heart base in you. I see the love of the existence of God's source within you. Not the falseness that you are portraying. You see, the sum of you doesn't allow just one expression. You're the all of your past and future, all of it. How much wisdom is in there? Buckets full. And if you're only giving me one version of your wisdom based in this one la voice, I'm going to be suspect. Like, there's a lot of human filter then. A lot of the human filter is allowing this idea. Whew. When you only carry one kind in one bucket, one bucket of enlightenment. And when you feel that one bucket of enlightenment is for everyone else, that's where the, brakes on the wheel go. Discernment and seeing through the bullshit requires you to also understand something very important. This world is not all love and light and fluffy bunnies. New Age movement thinks that. And it also was created by certain factions of people on this earth to manipulate the practices of true intentions based in God's source, awareness, and beauty, to distract you away from that truth and into a resurrected story of trauma and abuse and attainment that none of you have to ascribe to. It's a distraction that leads you to this bliss, to feel good and feel peaceful until you bump up against something ugly. And then all of a sudden your bliss has gone to shit. Then all of a sudden you're too sensitive and you're too much an empath to deal with it, so you deny it's even happening. Or you're so much an empath that everything's out to get you because your light is so large. You could choose to see the whole picture here. But how much service are you doing to the darker aspects of yourself that come out after you bumped into something dark? And that happens. You want to admonish the dark and say, oh my God, I can't be with them. I can't look at them. They're so ugly. Look what they're doing. I don't do that. I witness what's happening with amazement and awe. Wow, really? Right here? What an amazing show. Compassion allows you to witness and even bump up against darkness, and you don't have to make it a right or a wrong thing or make it exclusively wrong until, someone gets harmed, sometimes in this. That's where discernment Compassion has boundaries. This is where discernment and kind eyes are here to decide that most humans will make choices that will lead them to a dark place. This is often the learning. So I will often watch as humans make these choices, knowing it's not my place to manipulate their learning cycle. I'm not going to manipulate a soul's choice. If they come to me for assistance, that's one thing. I'm not here to manipulate the soul, because every soul has a higher self that's guiding them, and when you get involved, you're kind of pushing the envelope of manipulation, even in your kind heart, even in your spiritual teachings and your la channels. I'm telling you, you're manipulating souls, controlling souls. If you do not allow them to come to their own conclusions, the newly awakened humans that are feeling their hearts again, please, I ask you to be discerning. I watch you walk around with these open hearts, and you have like no sense of compassionate boundary for yourself. It's like energy contamination everywhere. Be discerning who you hug. Be discerning who you hold hands with. And if someone tells you to push energy through one hand to the other and you're in a big row, pull yourself out of that mix. You don't know the ugliness from the person next to you that's being pushed into you. And if you're a naive new soul, you'll learn very quickly, like I did. There will be people that come to you and they think they have good and kind intentions. But underneath, they're operating a manipulation or using energy that they don't truly understand the purpose of. Newly awakened people do not make good teachers. Newly awakened people do not make good channelers or instant shaman or instant healers. It takes discernment and integration of all your aspects and all your shadow aspects. So my visit out west was a huge lesson about discernment. What I was seeing, wow. Seeing through the bullshit is really required right now in all spiritual movements. And I saw like every kind here. I mean, and I'm going to use this one example, and I mean no harm in using this example, but someone has to be enlightened through it. Me. It was my experience, so I'm going to share it. This is about seeing through the bullshit. I had a really sweet woman come running up to me. She was almost crying because someone had given her her spiritual name. I was confused. I said, "Oh, really? Was this one of your guides? Or did you hear a voice within your heart? Or did you have a vision about this?" And she said, No. An intuitive lady just came up to me and told me my name and that I would be a great shaman and a healer. And I looked, she was like crying because she goes, I know she was just crying because that was too much manipulation. This woman was not a shaman. She's a happy lady that spreads complete joy everywhere she goes. If you want to call that a shaman, go ahead. She didn't need the manipulation of her soul choice to now have this burden put upon her to become a healer. She said to me, "That's a lot of pressure." So I put my hands on her shoulder and I told her, "Please don't allow another human to tell you who you are. Never allow a human to tell you your purpose in life. This is manipulating the free choice of a soul. As well intended as this woman may have been to tell another person who they are is a deep manipulation to keep people away from living their truth. If this woman was to become a shaman, her higher self will guide her there. We are not creator gods against other people's souls. That is an archaic idea that is based in magic. And you think it's all white and good. It's not. It's manipulation. I did deal with black magic there. Curses and very dark energy being directed by several people to other people and to groups. I was like, wow, really? Right here, right now? I kept having my fun with my family that I felt were my family. I loved that some of these people there. While everyone's having a beautiful, seemingly beautiful time, there was some ugliness going on. Most of the people didn't see it. Does that make me focus only on darkness? I think not. Does it make me a discerning human? Yes. That I can witness dark and light all together without my complete judgment. But I can see it as a reality. Hello? If you're using black magic, I'll see it. Does that mean I'm going to condemn you? No. I might tell you that you might be manipulated by outside sources, by outside creator gods and shadow aspects of yourself, entities from others. And I care for your soul. I always will. But I was watching people drop like flies. They would come to me for a session, a healing session. I had a massage table behind this big screen, and people would come to me, and their sacral chakra was like scooped out of energy. Human after human coming to me for help, texting me on the phone, Facebook messaging me. From the center and from other places, they had to leave to get away. They're very sensitive. So I watched this, dropping like flies. I felt I was doing triage at an event for new spiritual people, newly awakened people who now feel that they are authorities on subjects, newly awakened people who now bring their fantasies and their tendencies out of unclear bodies, out of unclear emotions and unclear minds to stand up in front of other people, not in a sharing of their journey so much, but of a sharing that their journey is not new to them or unknown to them, with little experience to them. But these are words for humanity. These are words to stand and revere. What? You mean that your unprocessed fear center, your angry warrior, is now translating cosmic truths for others? Sharing what you know is awesome, but discerning your impact on others is paramount. If you are new to channeling, please ask people that have done it for years how it works, how the underlying intentions are skewed by your past life issues, your unprocessed emotional fields, your epigenetic markers, the intergenerational influence. We do not know where that voice came from. You might say it came from Sasquatch, but I'm here to tell you that it was filled with other stuff. So make it clear to the new ones that this is new for you. You're not an authority on this. New spiritual teachers were everywhere. I mean, I love that. Teaching others their experience. Well, no, what I was seeing a lot of also was that they were teaching an illusion, a falseness, and giving false hope to people. Totally distracting them away from the truth of their own being. Oh my God, it was such a disservice I was watching. Sadness did come in for a little while as I watched person after person get disillusioned away from their truth. Don't tell people their truth. I watched as human after human from last year that I saw that were beautiful, bright beings of light. Oh my God, I now saw them in negative spirals in their bodies and their minds. It's like the life was being sucked right out of them. I could also see, what angle that energy was coming to and from. It was kind of sad to watch. I didn't walk up to any of these people and tell them, oh my God, what happened to you? But that's what I wanted to do. What happened? It's my first thing. And what happened? Your light got extinguished. But you're doing spiritual work. What is happening? What is happening to the body? I watched as new spiritual teachers were now being like taken over by their work, taken over by others' intentions for them. If you're not an emotionally stable person, you should not be teaching. If you're so new to this thing that you have no frame of reference, do not stand up as an authority and tell people their truth. It's such a disservice to other naive souls. So don't allow a person to tell you who your guides are, or even who your Sasquatch is. This is manipulation, even if you think you're doing it kindly. I'm telling you, humans need to discern their own truths. And these so-called teachers need to wake up to the deception that's running rampant within them and their work. They could just share their beauty with them. Just share their happiness with them. That ripple effect is what should be going on. But what's happening? We're watching the manipulation happen. And this is through people's missions and ideas for others. When you let go of this, the rippling of your truth just becomes what you are. I mean, to watch a young man enter an event completely open to all of life and leave with his new prescribed plan for life that was written by another person, it was almost like a mini-me situation, is kind of sad. But often suffering is needed. Disillusionment is needed. So discernment is a deep process. I see what energy is underlying your work and if you're allowing others to be their own boss or not. Manipulation can come in a cute and fun package or in a big, scary warrior package. Discernment allows you to watch the show but not be affected by the show. Take in what it is you need like a buffet and throw out the rest. I choose discernment to see through the bullshit. Not just spiritual New Age stuff, but all of life. Discerning eyes is the way to clarity, the way to become the alchemist of your own life and walk away from an event happy, nourished, and unscathed from the manipulated practices of those that are unaware, or even the ones that are aware of their actions. Grace is often the remembrance I need in this case. To remember who I am as grace, minus the disgrace of others. These beings deserve compassion and the ability to change their ways. Why are all manipulated beings now so free, sovereign, and grace-filled? I did do a lot of gifting during the weekend. Some people believe I was there only to make money off Sasquatch. That's funny. But I did do a lot of gifting. I gifted a lot of art, and I gifted a lot of my time, and I gifted a lot of my template of grace. I made a bunch of MP3s on thumb drives, and I sold them to people there if they wanted them for $33. That's how much it costs online or on this thumb drive. And the people who couldn't afford it, I would just slip one in their hand. And I could see the tears in their eyes as I gifted it to them. Took no energy for me to gift that to them. And that thumb drive cost me very little. So when you're deciding who can gift and who can't, who can judge and who can't, look at yourself. I'm currently offering spaces for my mentor program, where you can make all this alchemy come true for yourself, where we work together over a Zoom video call every week for about an hour. We work on the understandings and the alchemy of your current life, and it's really powerful work. You can move through a lot of lifetimes of stuff just by being discerning and having someone with you that can be discerning with you and allow you your truth without telling you your truth. What a novel idea. So it's with this fullness of my heart that I say, let us allow the truths of others, but use your compassionate boundaries so that you can be of offering to yourself. Discerning eyes, So you can see the full spectrum of light, the good, the bad, and the ugly all at once, simultaneously. This is the ultimate teaching. Discernment of all of life without the triggers. Seeing the beauty and allowing it to be seen along with the daggers changes all of life. So happy discerning.